Oh, I know this one. Ice cream. Poop. Hope.
The icy pallor of total silence?
That was going to be my next guess.
The rear axle in the old wooden ox cart had only one job to do.
Mine was to not show up to work
vehicle,
schnockered. Look how that one turned out.
From an outside force.
Oh, this is the only take that didn't involve something horrible dropping in front of the camera.
The axle was stationary and had nothing to do but support the load. With the coming of the automobile
came the first DUI. You're welcome.
The power of the engine to the rear wheels.
He's the time-displaced love child of Jim Henson and Emo Phillips.
To transmit this power. Next, room had to be made so that the differential, ring gears, and pinions could be inserted.
And I'm going to insert my opinion that moonshine is delicious.
Had to be made to join the two tubes together.
Like a
Chevrolet
bridge over
built a strong
troubled
cantilever bridge
ways.
across the cut in the axle, making it even stronger
I see
than the
you,
old
Hobbit.
solid axle. The 3 units of the rear axle housing
Our
the
fear,
bridge,
surprise,
and
a
the two
ruthless
tubes
efficiency.
are firmly assembled into one complete, sturdy unit. Chevrolet engineers
Pair of cast iron
realized
boobs for
that
shipment
this
at home
part
and
of the
abroad.
axle should be easily accessible from the
damn it.
outside. So an inspection plate was placed over the rear of this banjo construction.
So called because
The
it
rear
resembles
axle
an oboe.
now became merely an axle housing to support the load. Next, gears were added to
This is the
transmit
kind of guy who
engine
suggests the
power
model train
to the
shop for
axle
a first
shafts
date.
and
Oh,
wheels.
if only I knew then what I know
All these
now.
axle shafts have to do is turn the wheels. They do not bear the weight of the load.
No,
as
it's
it is
not a
borne by
cookie.
this complete axle housing. One of the outstanding features of Chevrolet's new full floating rear axle
Is
the
Bluetooth integration.
barrel-shaped
Don't ask
lower
me how
bearings,
or why.
which are entirely self-aligning. Because of the barrel shape of these rollers,
I'm thinking about
they
that
form
barrel of
only
whiskey
a
I got in the
small
back
area
room.
of contact with the races under normal load conditions.
These conditions are
reducing
such a
friction
load,
to a
man.
minimum, and keeping the rollers in exact alignment.
Lawful neutral.
As the load is
Really,
increased,
Starch?
Hey, was
each
that or another
roller
drunk joke?
spreads
What do
into
you
the
want
bearing
from me?
race, providing support along the width of the bearing.
The
When
only
load
suspension
is
system on the
decreased,
market based on
again,
s'mores.
the area of contact is decreased, so that the capacity of the bearing is always in proportion to the load.
Somewhere Professor
This
E.C.
feature
Bueller is
prevents
puking.
the races from becoming grooved, as is common in straight roller bearings.
He reads
And the
lines like a
bearing life
kindergartner in his
is
first school
therefore
play.
greatly increased. In order to show you the action of these bearings, this drawing has been greatly exaggerated.
Oh man,
Another
rip-off. I really
important
wanted a
advantage
10-foot tall
of
s'mores-based
Chevrolet's
bearing
full
system.
floating rear
Well,
axle
you know what to do then, right?
is the
I've already got
four-pinion
Kickstarter open.
differential mounting. This means that any load is spread over 4 teeth instead of only 2.
No, Jim,
and
I know what you're
ensures
thinking, and
less
don't.
strain
We
on
gotta try
all
and keep this
parts and
PG-13.
longer axle life.
Okay.
In addition, the rear axle housing on the 1936 Chevrolet truck is 35% stronger than last year's housing.
That model's
In
a
fact,
goddamn death
this
trap.
housing
Isn't it
alone
like
is
toothpicks?
stronger than the combined strength of the housing and shaft in previous models.
That housing
This
thinks it's so
new,
frickin' great.
heavier,
I'll
and
fight it with
huskier
one
rear
hand
axle
behind my
housing
back.
with inspection plate, together with the new exclusive self-aligning bearings, combine to make this full floating rear axle.
Class
The
5
finest
full-floating rear
axle
axle, or a
ever
Class
built
3
into a
free-roaming
truck.
drive shaft. Real nasty
With this
one, too.
construction, Axle shaft breakage is extremely remote. But should it ever happen,
You're dead.
the Chevrolet full floating rear axle permits easy removal and replacement of either axle shafts without taking off the wheel or removing the load.
If you break down,
The
just borrow a
design
cup
the
of axle from the
with the
neighbors.
smaller banjo center gives it much greater road clearance, which is another advantage
When
that helps
driving
to
over
make this new
vagrants and
axle
pedestrians.
the outstanding development in the 1936
What's with the
Chevrolet
abandoned
truck.
cars? Is this the apocalypse?
Jam handy. Music costs extra. You know, Starch, I never noticed how much your drunk voice sounds like schnapps before.
Huh? Well, if you say so, I guess.
And, come to think about it, you and Trent sound really similar too.
Well, maybe it's like how pets and owners start to look like each other after a while.
That kind of roommate dynamic is not something I was expecting.
No. No, Jim. Just no.
Become a Patreon sponsor of the show, and awesome things will happen to you.
See episodes early without mid-rolls, join us for livestream events, and more.